Greetings, philosophers. Last time, we kicked things off with Aristotle's Nicomachean ethics, exploring his idea of eudaimonia, that deep, fulfilling sense of flourishing that comes from living well. Today, in our second episode, we're diving deeper into how Aristotle thinks we actually get there. The key? Virtue. But not the stuffy, preachy kind. Aristotle's virtues are practical, dynamic, and all about finding balance in the messy reality of life. So, settle in and let's talk about the art of living virtuously through what Aristotle calls the golden mean. Imagine you're walking a tightrope. Lean too far one way, you fall into chaos. Too far the other, you're stuck in a rut. Life, Aristotle says, is a bit like that tightrope. Virtue is about staying balanced, hitting the sweet spot between extremes. This is his doctrine of the mean, and it's not just philosophy, it's a way of navigating the choices we face every day. Aristotle's not handing us a rulebook or a calculator to figure out the exact middle. He's asking us to use our judgment to find what's appropriate for the moment. It's less about perfection and more about practice, like learning to cook a great meal. You tweak, you taste, you adjust. Let's start with what Aristotle means by virtue. For him, virtues are habits of character that help us live well. There are two kinds: moral virtues, like courage or generosity, which shape how we act and feel, and intellectual virtues, like wisdom, which we'll get to later. Today we're focusing on the moral ones because they're the heart of Aristotle's practical guide to life. These virtues aren't something you're born with, like a talent for singing. They're built through repetition, like hitting the gym to get stronger. You don't become brave by reading about bravery. You become brave by doing brave things again and again. So, what's this golden mean? It's the idea that every virtue sits between two extremes, one too much, one too little. Take courage, for example. On one side, you've got recklessness, rushing into danger without thinking, like diving into a fight you can't win. On the other side, there's cowardice, shrinking back when you should stand up, like avoiding a tough conversation because it's uncomfortable. Courage is the mean, the balanced choice, standing your ground when it matters, but not throwing punches for no reason. Aristotle gives us other examples. Generosity lies between stinginess and extravagance, honesty between brutal bluntness and sugar-coating lies. Let's bring this to life. Picture yourself at a family dinner. Your cousin makes a snarky comment about your job. The excessive response? Snapping back with a cutting insult, escalating into a shouting match. The deficient response? Swallowing your hurt and saying nothing, letting resentment fester. The virtuous mean? Maybe it's calmly addressing the comment, standing up for yourself without burning bridges. It's not about being a doormat or a bully. It's about responding in a way that's right for the situation. And that right depends on context, your relationship, the setting, your own emotions. That's why the mean isn't a fixed point. It's a moving target, and finding it takes skill. Aristotle's genius is that he knows this isn't easy. Virtue requires effort, especially because we're not robots. We're human, with impulses and emotions that pull us toward those extremes. Maybe you're naturally hot-headed, so your challenge is reining in that excess, or maybe you're shy, so you need to push past deficiency to speak up. Aristotle says we need to lean against our tendencies like steering a boat against a current. If you're prone to anger, practice patience. If you're too cautious, take a risk. Over time, these choices become habits, and those habits shape who you are. Let's try a modern example. Think about money. Some people hoard every penny, terrified to spend. That's stinginess, the deficiency. Others blow their paycheck on impulse buys, extravagance, the excess. Generosity, the mean, is about spending wisely, treating a friend to coffee because it strengthens your bond, or donating to a cause you care about, but not so much you're broke. I knew someone who'd always pick up the tab for everyone, even when they couldn't afford it. Generous? Sure. But also reckless, tipping into excess. Aristotle would say, scale it back, find the balance that's sustainable and meaningful. This idea of balance is so practical it almost feels obvious, but here's where Aristotle gets you thinking. The mean isn't the same for everyone. A billionaire's generous donation might be pocket change to them, while a student's small gift could be a huge sacrifice. Context matters, your resources, your relationships, the stakes. That's why virtue isn't about following a universal rule, it's about using your reason to judge what's right in the moment. This is where Aristotle's philosophy feels alive. It's not an antiquated text, it's a toolkit for navigating life's grey areas. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Why is this so hard? Because life throws curveballs. You're stressed, tired, or just having a bad day, and suddenly finding the mean feels like solving a puzzle in a storm. Aristotle gets it. He says we need to train ourselves, starting small. Maybe you practice patience by not snapping at a slow barista, or courage by speaking up in a meeting. Each small act builds the muscle of virtue, and the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. It's like riding a bike, wobbly at first, but soon you're cruising. Here's another layer. Virtues aren't just about you. They shape how you interact with others. Aristotle calls us political animals, meaning we're wired for community. Your courage inspires others. Your generosity lifts someone up. Think about a time you saw someone act with real integrity, maybe a co-worker who admitted a mistake instead of covering it up. That's not just good for them, it sets a tone for everyone around them. Virtue, in Aristotle's world, ripples outward, making the world a little better. Let's reflect for a moment. Think about a choice you made recently, maybe how you handled a disagreement or spent your money. Were you tipping toward excess, like overreacting, or deficiency, like holding back too much? Aristotle's not saying you should beat yourself up. He's saying, notice, learn, try again. The good life isn't about being perfect, it's about getting better, choice by choice. Before we close, let's tie this back to eudaimonia. Virtues like courage and generosity aren't just nice-to-haves, they're the building blocks of a flourishing life. They help you navigate challenges, build relationships, and find meaning. In a world that often pushes us toward extremes, spend more, fight harder, shut down, Aristotle's golden mean is a reminder to pause, think, and aim for balance. It's not flashy, but it's powerful. That's it for today, philosophers. We've unpacked Aristotle's golden mean and how it shapes a virtuous life. Next time, we'll explore how reason, especially practical wisdom, helps us find that balance in tough situations. If you're enjoying this dive into Aristotle, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. What's a virtue you're working on, or a moment you found the mean? Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep thinking, keep balancing, and let's chase that flourishing life together.